Welcome to the Software People Stories. I'm Shiv.
I'm Chitra.
And I'm Gayatri.
We bring you interesting, untold stories of people
Associated with the creation
Or consumption of software-based solutions.
You'll hear stories of what worked,
and sometimes what didn't,
you will also hear very personal experiences.
and insights that would trigger your thoughts
And inspire you to do even greater things.
Before we jump into today's conversation, a special thanks to PM Power Consulting for encouraging and supporting this show right from the start. With over 1,000 person-years of collective experience, PM Power has helped many organizations, teams, and individuals chart out their own journeys of excellence and make progress. Thank you, PM Power. Now, let's move to today's episode. My guest today is a good friend and colleague, and not to forget, the person with whom I was a co-author for a book, Paramu Kurumathur. In this episode, Paramu discusses how his recent interest in development work evolved from writing small Google Apps scripts utilities with some borrowed code and online examples to building an AI-connected application via APIs to tools like Gemini and ChatGPT, including enabling a Q&A over his book content. He describes also surprises that he got from conversing with his own books, especially since LLMs retain details he might have forgotten, while noting key risks such as hallucinations and the need for precise prompts. He explains learning Cursor with guidance from one of our other colleagues, Raja, discovering that it can generate code and rapidly producing a proof of concept that maps citizens to the government welfare schemes using PDFs, Chroma DB, sentence transformers, and queues, work that took about a week instead of months. The conversation contrasts older development eras with today's dependency-heavy environments, argues many SDLC intermediate steps are compressed, and highlights transferable mid-career skills and requirements and problem translation, alongside concerns about limited debugging and testing depth. Practical experience, practical advice. If you plan to get back into development, you should not miss this. Listen on. Hi, Paramu. Welcome back to the Software People Stories.
Thank you, Shiv. It's a great pleasure to be here. As usual, your podcast, give not only great publicity to the people attending this, but also it's an interesting thing, the kind of questions you ask and the way you steer the conversations. Very good. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, man. I also get a lot of learning from talking to people like you. And this time, this is also this curiosity now that after being a serially published author and all that, now you're what I would like to call as a reborn developer in the AI age.
Okay.
But before we get into that, see, you have been doing some development from time to time. And I've also asked you help me create some automation for either Excel books or some screens and stuff like that. So what has been your involvement in development, as we call it, right? Say in the last few years.
In the last few years, the main thing was that I discovered this thing called Google Script, right? And I found that there are lots of Google Script examples in Google itself, on the internet, right? So I started doing things like creating files or lots of little things, like little utilities, and I found all those things are actually available on the web. So you could just copy the program, put it here, makes a few changes, and it will work. So that excited me. Right?
Okay.
Not having to start right from the beginning, right? And go all the way, right? So instead, you just copy some program and it will work. And then the whole thing became serious only when I realized that you could use Google Script and then use an API to connect to Google Gemini or ChatGPT, AI, and all that kind of stuff, right? using a key. So you have to kind of get a key, and then you using HTTP, you can call that and get answers back. That really excited me. So then I could actually write programs that you can go to my books, right? Pass the content of the book to Gemini and ask questions. Right?
Okay.
Will analyze the book and give answers to that question. Right? So that really triggered my my real sense of interest in this. Right?
Okay.
Initially, it was just simple programming. When this came about, suddenly you could tie your interest in programming to LLMs. And then you could actually give it to people as things that they could use.
Yeah. I remember when you were first showing the conversation with your book, right?
Right.
Much before this custom GPT and things were there. So in that sense, now your curiosity probably started very early in terms of how you can apply some of these functionalities.
Correct.
So one side question is, when you had a conversation with your book,
right?
It's probably like having a conversation with yourself,
right?
And your current self and a little past self that wrote the book.
Right.
Were there any surprises that you discovered?
I mean, I can't think of any specific examples, but see, I remember when Raja was writing this program.
Raja is our colleague.
Yeah, Raja
Resident guru, right?
Yeah, right. So he actually ingested some of my books, right? And then he came and asked, Paramu, this guy did something in the book. I had actually forgotten, right? Because it's so long ago, right? Maybe 5 years ago, right? But this AI program kept the book alive, right? So that was a surprise, actually. Not individual things, which I don't remember now, but actually the fact that the LLM can keep the book alive, right? And will not forget anything, which actually I have forgotten. Right? So that is something which I found was a surprise. Even if I go back to the book on leadership, right? Somebody asks a question, certainly I would have forgotten. But this guy will come back and LLM will come back and tell you, this is what it is. Yeah.
But we keep changing our minds as we get newer experiences, or our perspectives change and all that. So is this a scary thing or is it a good thing?
Changing the mind on what aspect?
On many things. Whatever I probably thought 5 years ago on many things, whether it is climate change kind of things, or probably what food should I eat, to things like that. Suddenly there is a new fad that comes up, or what used to be good is no longer good, with this cancel culture, all those things, right? So when as a human, when we change our minds, our perspectives, and this LLM kind of remembers, is that scary?
No, I think the LLM, the problem is that what I find is many a time it just, the word I think is hallucinate. It just hallucinates and gives you something which has no connection to what you're thinking about. And sometimes what you thought it should do is doing something totally different, right? So you have to actually kind of bring it back, right? To do what you want. So the kind of prompts that you use should ensure that you get what you want, because otherwise it'll just go. In fact, even writing this program on the proof of concept that you saw today, right, on the Indian welfare schemes, even that cursor actually hallucinated a lot. It gave me so many things, so I had to bring it back on track to actually give me what I wanted. And sometimes it's as frustrating as actually writing code, because you cannot really tell it what you want. You have something in your mind, and whatever you tell it assumes something which is not what you wanted. Right? That is a real problem.
So
that's where
how does one prepare to start working with an AI tool?
The way I prepare is, of course, first of all, I didn't know what it was. So I talked to Raja, who's our expert. And he gave me some ideas as to how to use cursor. See, initially what I did was I created a program in Python, right? Using some old Python code from somewhere. I downloaded that code, right? And then ran it through Gemini, and then took that Python code and then put it into Cursor. I assumed that Cursor was a development environment. But then Radha told me, no, it can actually generate code for you. I didn't know that yet. So that was a big surprise. So I could just write and say, create this code. Code is generated. I didn't know this. So I started by first creating designing in my mind what I wanted, which was a welfare scheme or a system to actually tie a citizen to a welfare scheme, point a citizen to a welfare scheme. So I wanted that to be a proof of concept of the AI system. So that's how I thought. Then I wrote a few prompts to Cursor saying, create the system. I want this, I want that. Here is the PDF for schemes. Ingest this into Chroma database.
Okay.
So the main thing is knowing all these terms, Chroma, then sentence transformer. So once you tell that guy, Cursor immediately understands that. Right? The main for you to know those technical terms. And once you know that, you just tell him that, he'll do it. I asked, so I want to implement a queue system. And I said, writes queue. So okay, right. So you have to tell it, right? Otherwise, you ask him what kind of queue, then he'll give me a different options. So all that is a problem. But if you tell it what you want, immediately do it straight away. And that's the terrifying part. And the terrifying part, see, this whole POC I did in maybe a week.
Yeah.
Over a time of work, right? Just a lot of people to go back and do some changes, but generally in a week's time, I could get this thing done. Right? If I'm writing code, it'll take 3 or 4 months.
Yeah. So one thing, and we all started with an assembly or punch cards or things like that, and also started writing command line code using those VI kind of editors and all that. And then we moved on. We used a lot of other tools. But one thing I find is that here, even though you are using Cursor, IDE, all that, there's still a lot of command line work that is done, and so many different packages that you need to install or make sure that, again, think about the ports that you will use and this thing like that. So how was that experience for you?
Yeah. In the olden days, it's very simple. Basically, when we started, we did assemblers, I remember. We started using assemblers, and in the IBM 370 system, you punched a few instructions on the assembler and put it there, and you got the result back, right? And all the baller instruction, using, all the kind of add register, all the kind of stuff, right? And then COBOL also was very similar, except that instead of saying load register, load the other thing, the other register, add the two, put it back, instead of saying add A to B, right? Yeah. So COBOL made it slightly more easier. And then 4GL, the link made it even more easier, right? So, and in all those, I think the main thing was that we didn't need to worry too much about all these different kind of things. Whereas now, in this thing, first I loaded Python. I installed Python. Then I installed something else. Then I installed something else. Then I installed Cursor. Then I installed, and so many, you are right, there are so many things to get the whole environment right. But the advantage is that Cursor will do everything for you, which in the previous time it couldn't do. So you just say, look, I want to use Flask. Oh, I'll install Flask. So I want to use Python. I'll install Python for you. So it'll give you a command which you have to copy and put it in the command line. So you just start, pip something. So that way, it does everything for you. You don't have to worry about anything. And it'll put into the right path so the command works. Right? So even though you have to do all these kind of things, different environments, different programs, it actually, Cursor makes it very easy. And I'm sure there are other programs like Cursor. I've not tried any. But I'm sure there are many other environments like Cursor which will allow you to do this. And Cursor makes everything so easy. You just have to say what you want.
Yeah. From a slightly higher level, when you talk about the SDLC, we talk about initially finding a problem, specifying the problem, identifying the solution, or again, detailing out the solution. We used to write these PRDs and so on, or the functional, non-functional requirements. Is there anything that has changed significantly when you want to develop with an AI tool?
Yeah. So you have the requirement specification, what you want. You feed that the cursor and the code comes out. It is like, I remember in the olden days, we wanted to, take a pig and put it into a machine and bacon comes out, right? So it is like that, right? You take a requirement, shove it into the machine and the code comes out and it'll run. There's nothing like intermediate things like creating a database design, because this system already designs the Chroma database for you, right? Or how to store it in the database, like that. It decides that. You don't need to worry about all that. So the intermediate steps are all gone. You just have to worry about making sure that your definition is correct and understood by cursor. Or cursor are equivalent, right?
Yeah.
So
what about testing? How do you validate that what has come out?
The validation also, cursor will give you data to test it. Give it, what is that, acceptance criteria, test criteria, test data, everything it will give you, right? So based on the requirement, it will give you test data also. And you can run that. And you can say, when you are writing the program, you can say the final proof, right, of the pudding, which is the eating. That is actually the running the test data. Right? So it will give you all that for you. So everything is given to you, which is to, and it will ask you, can I run it? So you, okay, run it, it will run. And say, oh, it's working. So I've seen, finally the problem, the experience of doing this, I'm not sure whether it's doing everything that I wanted. But it's telling me it did everything, right? And I'm happy. I'm saying, okay, very good. And I'm showing it to people. They're also saying it's good. See, the program, the full program, I don't know how to debug. So it's written by cursor, right? So all I can do is from the very final user end do testing. And that's all I can do. Right? There's no system testing. There is no unit testing. There is no, none of the things are there. Right? I suppose this is how all, see, I'm not sure if this is the way the SDLC in a company like NVIDIA or something works. I don't know how that works, right? But I just did the small program. Maybe they have a more rigorous process to ensure that, they do some integration testing and all that kind of stuff, which is outside this IDE environment. Maybe it's possible. I don't know. But what I did, there's no other internal thing. So from the the topmost requirements to the bottommost program I get.
Yeah, that's good. Because initially what I used to do, again, similar things in terms of learning.
Right.
I said, no, tell me how you will test this, or what will you test this for? At least then I get an idea of whether the edge conditions or specific things that I'm looking at are being covered. And a couple of times when I get an error, whether it is compile time or runtime, any of those things, just paste that error. And then the cursor will go back and say that, oh, okay, I know where the change should be done. Then I say, before doing that, tell me, why did you miss it the first time? Then says, no, we assume that this library will be used, or this will be done, and this is how the database was designed, so we assumed it will be there. I said, now what are you going to do? Are you going to just go and then write a kludge or fix, which is a workaround, or are you going to change the design? I'll think again and say, no, should I do this or should I do that? So constantly nudging it kind of helps understand how, let's say, a tool like Cursor thinks.
Right.
So one thing somebody told me was that because it also learns from all our interactions.
Right.
A lot of freshers are using it. It'll code like a fresher.
Correct.
And that's why Raja also keeps talking about the taste. So once you say that this is my standard, this is what I expect, this is what I don't expect, it probably does that. So with that, at least in the podcast, now we talk about two segments of people and some career tips, etc. But this is not so much on a career tip. So for people who are starting a career or considering a career in IT, and those who are, say, going through a mid-career dilemma, let's take the mid-career people. are there any transferable skills that they already got that will make them equipped in this environment faster?
Well, they have the skill of writing requirement specifications, right? They have the skill of going to customers and talking to them and figuring out what is needed. Or they have the skill of deciding what kind of system should be written for running this operating system. So they have that skill. Right? So that skill is certainly needed here, so that you can tell AI what kind of programs, what kind of systems do you want, right? So that is something which, or translating the user needs into a specification that AI will understand, right? So that not because the language is dense or the language is different or anything. It's only because you have to tell it exactly what you want, right? So the moment you make it very loose, it can hallucinate, right? So you have to make sure that you tell it what you want this program to do, this system to do this and this exactly, right? Then it can create the program. If you say, write me a system that will talk to citizens and do, I mean, if it's a very broad kind of thing, it can give you some suggestions and it can give you a system. If you're happy with that, it's okay, but it may not do what you wanted to do, right? So there is that kind of bridge between what the ultimate user wants and what need to be told to the AI. So maybe the fellas who are kind of in a midlife crisis, they can actually start using their skills to form that bridge between the ultimate user and the AI. So but how many of such people you need, I don't know. So that is something which you can figure out. Yeah.
Not about how many people, it is just about making people, say, more productive. So if, in your case, you said it was all something that you learned because of your interest. And then there are also a lot of these courses that are available today.
Right.
Almost every other offering says, now we have this AI certification, this, that, and all that. And you didn't go through any of those. But still, your confidence in creating a solution is now much more, even without courses. So diving in and doing this. With this experience, is it possible that you could provide some guidance for people in terms of how to go about it or what to do, etc.?
There's certainly the option of going through all these 15 courses and making sure you write the test and then and getting a badge and all that kind of stuff, right? There is that option available. But for me, I just don't have the patience to do that. I think it depends on, of course, that if you go through that, it'll be a more well-rounded understanding of AI that I'll get rather than just jumping in and doing it, right? But I think jumping in and doing it also gives you more dopamine, right? Because you're seeing things running straight away, right? And you make a mistake, why did I make the mistake? Oh, it's because of this, right? And that may be one module of the course, right? So you can actually learn most of the modules of the course, other than the overall kind of overall thing. You can learn by making mistakes and little things here and there, right? So I think, I may be able to. I don't know whether I'll be able to teach people or give them I can show them what I did, right?
Yeah.
I can show them what I did, but I don't know whether I'll be able to take a formal class and tell them, no, because I didn't do it in a formal way. I did it more in a very informal way, just jumping in and doing it, right? And till it works, right? I think that's the so-called, the rough, rough agile approach, or whatever you want to call it, the katana agile approach. You just keep doing it and it works, then you're okay. Yeah. And I suppose you can tell the cursor to actually improve the program later on. Right? See, once you do the prototype, since it's so fast, you have the luxury of time. Right? So you do it very fast, find out the mistake, then think about it, and then create a more definite requirements, which can give you a more formal kind of code which can be a better code than the one that you got for your POC, maybe.
So I didn't mean when you say in the training or teaching, getting into the technical details, what is under the hood and so on. This whole approach to learning, something new, diving in and then doing that as a process, because many times, at least talk to a lot of people who I am sure they can do it because they've done it in the past. But there's always this hesitation of taking the first step, or somehow that block saying that, oh, IDE, no, I have not touched an IDE for a long time. Tell me if I can code in PPT or Excel or Word, I'll be happier. So what can we share with those people?
In fact, I remember even before this, I remember we had many other things, like I think Soho, not Soho, what is it called? That you create you actually bought a tool and said we should use it for a tool like that.
Yeah.
Right? I remember, I think I dived into it and somehow did something and got it working. But many people wanted a formal course on that. Only then they could. So it depends on different people have different approaches. I prefer the approach of just looking at it, just doing something, hope it works. If it doesn't, you learn what went wrong. Right? So, and I think I follow the same approach here. So rather than go through a formal course, and of course, the main problem is that the fact that I didn't do a formal course may mean that there are certain things I have not seen. There could be an easy way to do it, which I didn't know, right? Because I just tried this shotgun approach, right? So yeah, I think there's both positives and negatives to it.
Yeah, sure. So one other question. So you mentioned a lot about LLMs being used. Right? Are there any limitations for the types of problems or where LLM may not be an ideal thing? And one specific thing that came to my mind was, let's say you also used to write a lot of these astronomy programs.
Right.
So when it is more computational like that, or little more algorithmic, right? Will these approaches help there? Do you think you would want to try rewriting your old astronomy code with cursor?
See, about 2 years ago, I tried asking a lot of questions about astronomy to ChatGPT. And I was not at all satisfied with the answer. Right? As to how do eclipses work properly? How do what is that? How does orbit of Neptune do? That was all the kind of questions I asked. Right? But many a time he didn't give me the correct answer. And for a simple example of this thing gave me wrong information, that I asked it about the orbit of Proxima Centauri, right, around the Alpha Beta Centauri double star system. Proxima Centauri it's actually the Alpha Centauri is a triple star system, right? So the Alpha Centauri and Beta Centauri, right? Not Beta, Alpha Centauri A and Alpha Centauri B, right? Being a double star system, very closely related, very close to each other, maybe a few astronomical units away, and they go around each other in some 80-something days. And then there is this Proxima Centauri, which is very far from the two, going around those two once in 550,000 years. Right? Right? And so I told ChatGPT or Gemini to draw a picture of its orbit, Proxima Centauri's orbit. It gave me a picture which said that Proxima Centauri is at the nearest point to it's at periastron, the nearest. Actually, right now it's at apastron. It's at the farthest point. I said, what do you mean? This is the farthest point. Oh, I'm sorry. It is actually true. It's the farthest point. Yeah. So it gave me completely wrong answer. Yeah. So sometimes it does do that.
Yeah. So that is why.
See, I was trying to figure out how Proxima Centauri is the nearest star to the sun. Because in its orbit, in the last 35,000 days, it's been the nearest star. The next 25,000 also will be the nearest star. Then it'll go behind wherever, and then the two will become nearer. So sometimes you get totally wrong answers from.
Yeah. So that is why my question was, even if an LLM is not the right engine to solve your problem. At least a tool like Cursor, if you are able to give it an algorithm, or if you are able to give it a formula, or if you are able to specify something like this, it might use an LLM at the back end, all right. But for generating a code, would that work? Whatever code you wrote earlier.
No, but generating a code, I think this is very good. In my mind, a tool like Cursor, which may use an LLM at the background, it's a very good tool for generating code, because see, the advantage is that when you make it write code and you test the result, the result is okay, then it's kind of working, right? And so far, what I've seen is generating decent code.
Good.
Right? It's not creating very too many go-to, so many go-to statements.
Yeah.
A good code, nicely structured code, right? It's doing a good job, I think.
So the last question I had was, you probably seen this movie called The Ratatouille.
That movie, yeah.
Yeah. So is AI or these AI tools, are they creating a Ratatouille moment for developers or for anybody? Saying anybody can cook. That mouse, yeah. So like that, anybody can code.
It is creating a Ratatouille moment. Yes, anybody can code, right? And see, somebody who has not coded before comes to Cursor and writes a statement saying, "I want a program that that gives me the Fibonacci sequence." You can do it, right? Or it says, "I want to create factorial." And do it. So, hello world, even hello world will create. I think anybody can code. See, I didn't know Python at all. See, my knowledge of Python is through Cursor. I never coded in Python before. Right? My main thing was all these old Pascal and Lisp and Algol and also this Google script, which is like JavaScript. So that's all I knew. But now currently Python is working for me because of Cursor.
So have you already thought of the next projects?
My next projects? I haven't thought of that.
In coding.
In coding, I don't know. Now I want to get back. I want to stop this here and then get back to my Yajurveda, that translation. For that I just stopped that just to get some AI capabilities.
Good. So thanks a lot, Paramu. I think if not anything else, I think our listeners should get a lot of confidence to just dive in, try things out, and see how we can also get some fun out of the whole AI movement.
Okay.
We thank Siddharth for the music and Anita for promoting the Software People stories.
If you like this episode,
please subscribe on your favorite podcast client
and spread the word in your network.
If you'd like to share your story,
contact us at podcasts@pm-powerconsulting.com.